We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies.
Trevor and Dane, officially welcome to the Wealth Juice Podcast. Corey and I are so excited to have you on the show. It seems like we are running in similar circles, doing some of the same things in the real estate industry, and we're thrilled to have you here, guys. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
We're stoked.
Absolutely. So let's dive in. Give us a little background on you two. I'd love to know the story, maybe pre-real estate, if there is a story, and then how you joined forces, and we'll kind of walk that path once we get there.
Yeah, so I'll start kind of with where we're at now. So we run this company called Stack Asset Group. We have 75-ish million worth of real estate within that company. So we're buying value-add apartments, and then we're building ground up, and that's typically like anywhere as small as like a $2 million size up to a $25 million deal size. And then that's with two other partners as well, but we also asset manage some of our personal portfolio stuff that we brought in there. So we've been doing that. Me and Dane actually started that. We lived together in an apartment. We started it out of our bedrooms like a year and 6 months ago because we didn't have an office. And we've been doing that full time for 9-ish months. But backing that up to kind of how we got into real estate and how we met. So I actually used to be an engineer. So I was working like a 9-to-5 job, making $50,000 a year. And I learned I did not want to do that for the rest of my life. And I started listening to podcasts, and I heard of, have you guys heard of FIRE? I'm assuming. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I came across the idea of FIRE, started putting like 90% of my income into the stock market. And I was like, in 10 years, I'll get $1 million in here. I'll live off like $40,000 passively. And at that time I was living off like $12,000 a year. So just like counting every penny, spending no dollars, came across Bigger Pockets, heard about house hacking, bought like a house and rented out all the rooms to my buddies, and just was like, this is amazing. Did that 2 times, and I covered my like $12,000 living expense. I was like at like 20 or 30 grand cash flow. I was like, this is awesome. And then other people started asking me about it. So I got a broker's license and quit that engineering job to become a full-time real estate investor. And my plan at that time was buying 1 house a year. But when you quit your W-2 job, you no longer qualify, as you guys know. So my whole plan was ruined. But I was just like reading books and kept learning. So I learned how to like seller finance, how to partner with people. So I went from that first year, actually, when I was 22. I'm 29 now. Dane's 26. When I was 23, I bought 2 houses the first year. Then the next year, I bought something like 30 units just from that information I learned. And then my path from there was I wanted to scale to 100 units. So I got to 100 units. I was having broker income. I was doing other deals that I flipped and whatnot. And I was 25 years old. I had built up to $1 million net worth, had 100 units, and I had like $500,000 in cash or something like that. And I learned what it was like to unreasonably scale, because I went from $500,000 in cash to negative $300,000 in lines of credit and losing all my money from just lifestyle creep, bad partnerships, and then buying too many deals at once, and took like a whole turning point. So that took like 1.5 2 years to like dig out of, because I didn't want to sell any of my deals because I was addicted to like owning deals and I could see the future value of them. Eventually I sold a couple and just paid off those debts. And I was like, man, I should have just done that 1.5 years ago to not have all this stress. But learning lessons from there. And then that led us to like getting into bigger deals and really learning how to scale and actually like manage deals and do them appropriately and do the capital stack. And then I'll let Dane dive into where he dove into the picture too.
I met Trevor while he was on the downslope, and so I met him when he still had some money, and I was like, oh, I want to do what this guy's doing. I had a background in finance. I studied finance at Oregon State. I wanted to do something that was business related. I originally was in marketing, and then I went to accounting, and I didn't have the personality for either of them. And so I got into finance. I don't know if I have the personality for finance either, but it fit me better just because it scratched to like the entrepreneurial itch. I started a business in college where I killed bed bugs with my friends at scale, not like individually.
He was using his thumb, dude. He was just smashing them on the walls.
We got better at it over time, so we would kill all of them. but that was not my lifelong dream. And so I did that for like 2 years, kind of built up the location in Oregon, and then had a couple locations like all around the country. It was stupid. We just had connections in other places, and it was really low barrier to entry, but hard to do, and nobody wants to do it. And so it was hard to be like actually good at it. And so there were like, if you weren't good at it, then you had to go back out to the same houses to try to kill their bed bugs again, which is not fun either time. And then also, like, nobody wants to do it even if they are good at it. And so the people that were good at it would do it for like a year or two and then get out. And I was probably one of those people. I actually flooded an apartment complex while I was doing that, because you kill them with heat. And I set off the fire, the sprinklers. Terrible day. Very expensive mistake, but the people who own the complex were actually super nice about it, frankly. And now I know who they are because I'm in apartments. At the time, I was like, oh, wow, how generous to not just absolutely sue everything about us. They didn't sue us. They put us on like a payment plan over 2 years and we paid it off, but it was not fun. I sold out of that business and then graduated, went into kind of property management, did some private wealth advising for a very brief period of time, and just like wasn't super enthusiastic about it. I didn't like that the assets we were working with were intangible. And so the property management piece like kind of scratched an itch, just because I liked that there was a physical asset tied to it. And so that's what led into me getting into real estate, because the guy who I worked for was like a self-manager of 300 apartments, and actually it was like 450 at the time in Corvallis, which was where I was living, because that's where Oregon State is, where Trevor and I both went. Go Beavs. And so I saw how well he was doing and how not hard he made it look, and I was like, all right, well, let's figure that out. And then I was just trying to find somebody that was my age that was doing the same thing, because he was like 75, so we didn't have a lot in common. He had the outcome, but I wanted to see like the inputs. And so then I met Trevor, and that's when, well, I reached out to Trevor because he was like, I just bought a fourplex with no money, and I was like, it's impossible, so tell me how you did it, please. And then I sat down with him. I was like, oh, he actually did it. That was real. And then I devoted all of my time to finding deals where I had to put no money in and I could own them. And then we created a business together, and kind of the rest is history.
Well, yeah, I think that's awesome. And you guys got started at such a young age. I mean, I bought my first property at 27 or 28. You guys were already a millionaire by 25. So I think this is just a cool story. Are you guys in Eugene now? Is that where you're at?
No, Salem. So we're like an hour from Eugene. It's we're in between. It's the capital of Oregon, but it's in between Portland and Eugene, just along the highway.
I'm looking at a map, and the reason why I bring this up is because I was just in May. I was at Bandon for Bandon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it was my only time being in Oregon, but like, what a beautiful state. So
that's hilarious. I was at Bandon in May as well. We probably overlapped, but had no idea who we were. Yeah.
I was there
for
like
5 days.
Middle of the month.
Yeah.
16th to the 20th.
I think that's exactly when I was. I'll check my calendar just so I'm not a liar. But yeah, I think that's exactly when I was there. That's hilarious. Did you play all the courses?
Yeah. Played all the courses.
That's
had
so
the best
fun.
time. Like stayed on site. We won't make this podcast about the golf trip, but that was just like, I'm like one of those things where I got to figure out a way to get back there. And like I got, it was amazing. I'm sure we could talk about that all day, but
Yeah.
You guys, I want to talk about the forming of this partnership here. And because when people form partnerships, you know, like sometimes people are like, oh, the skill sets have to mesh, or like one person brings the money and the other person finds the deals. And like, how did you guys know that you guys would be good partners? Or maybe you didn't at the beginning and it developed into that. But I see such similarities in what you've done and what Ryan and I've done. I didn't even know that coming into this interview. So it's cool to learn about. But just tell me about like the formation of your partnership and how you decided that it was a good idea to work together.
Yeah, I think the first start was Dane was just willing to work and find deals. So I was already partnering with Gabe, who you'll meet when you do our podcast, and we were buying deals together. And we talked to everyone about buying deals, and we think everyone should buy real estate. And we were meeting with Dane, and we were just telling him about our buy box. And then he went out and started cold calling everyone because he wanted to own a deal. And he's like, how can I own a deal? And it's like, okay, you have time right now, but no money. And you don't necessarily know what a deal is at this point, but here's kind of what it looks like. So he went and spent the time, and he found this 10-unit apartment complex He set it up as a seller carry with like 5% or 8% down, 4 or 5% IO for like 10 years or something. And we're like, yeah, that's a deal we would buy. So then Dane bought the deal with us, and then we got to see what it was like to be a partner with him. And then we started actually brokering deals together. So we were both brokers, and we started working together from that point. And I got to know Dane better, and we started talking about goals and what we were trying to do. And we were trying to do the same exact thing. So then we started buying a few more properties together. And he had more of a builder's mindset. He wanted to build apartments. And I never wanted to build apartments because I was like, why would you spend all the time to build this thing when you can just buy an existing one? Now I've learned building is pretty cool if you have the right team. So he got connected with Mark, who was another local builder in our area, similar age, and he became close with him. So me and Gabe were buying deals together. Dane was kind of buying them with us. And we were going in and buying another deal. And then we had the idea of bringing Mark on board too. And we just all bought a deal together, which kind of led to our company now, us getting to know each other, learning that all our goals were aligned basically. And we had 4 different skill sets essentially that all complemented each other.
There was a lot of overlap on the skill sets too.
Yeah.
I think frankly the bigger thing for us, and like people talk a lot about like the need for you, the partners, to be like different. And frankly, like I'm super similar to all the guys in some ways. Like we're not like different people. I don't know that I'm young and probably dumb in that area, but I think it's much more important, or at least has been for us to have alignment of our long-term goals. Like the fact that we have the alignment for what we all want, like 10, 20, whatever, just a vision that can all get us excited. And then every decision that we make together is based on that vision has been the biggest thing by a landslide. And so you always hear like the visionary and the integrator, and it's like, well, we have 4 business partners and all of us were running businesses by ourselves first. And so like who was the visionary and the integrator then? Like, and then it actually just helps us to have business partners. It's been so much more fun, first off, but second off, like it's so much less of a sounding board. Like you constantly have new ideas that are coming in, especially when you're meeting in different groups. It's like sometimes it's me and Mark, sometimes it's me and Trevor, sometimes it's Trevor and Mark, and then Trevor and Mark call me and they're like, hey, why didn't we talk about, or why didn't we think about? And the reason it works isn't because like, well, part of it is that like we have different skill sets, obviously, but the biggest thing is that we have the same vision. And so just because we have the same vision but different brains, like that's what creates the outcome that we want. And so I think that was what brought us together, was like every day when we got together and it was like, yeah, we want the same thing. We want the same thing. And then it becomes more and more clear too, because like neither of us were ever going to sacrifice something long term. Like what he's talking about, where he sold those houses that he was house hacking, he was sitting on top of like 2.5 cap deals that were houses that he bought in Portland when he had $250K in debt. And I was like, you should probably just sell those. Like I don't own houses that are, have 150K of equity in them. So I have no room to talk, but from the outside looking in, it seems like you could solve a lot of problems by sacrificing 2 of your 120 units or whatever. And he held on to it for so long. And part of that was like, well, I think that's probably what I'd do too, where it's like I really don't want to ever because the hardest thing is getting your name on the deal. And so like spending more time around each other and realizing, oh no, he actually means what he's saying. Like he could have solved that problem 1.5 years ahead of time, but because he really like was a deal junkie, he was like, no, I really just like owning the deals more. So you lose some of the rational thought because you know that owning real estate in the long term is always better than selling it. And so in that scenario, it wasn't, but that was what made me realize that it was going to make sense for us to keep working together. And I think me like sacrificing commissions on deals when I had not that much money, frankly, so that I could pitch my commission to own it. It was like, yeah, I mean, I'll figure out how to make more money, but it's going to be really hard to buy this deal later. Like it's going to be worth twice as much in 5 years.
Portfolio architecture is something that's interesting that you guys have figured out in a way, or starting to figure out, because when you mentioned, I think Trevor mentioned that 1 property a year is what you were looking to do. That was my goal in the beginning. 1 property a year for 10 years. I'll have optionality at my work. I can do that, right? So I'm thinking I'll have 10 units after 10 years. And Ryan and I, we're GPs on these, so we don't own them all ourselves, but we now own over 95 units. And it's still long-term money. It's still planting seeds. We bought these properties in 23, 24, 25. So like GPs get paid later, right? So that's still long term. But I always thought I was going to hold on to those first properties that I bought for 30 years and haven't paid off, and I'll be sitting on all this cash flow until we realize, holy shit, our return on equity on one of these single family homes that we bought for $135,000 that we can now sell for $350 is like a no brainer to offload this so we can take the 200 grand and go buy something else. So I think your brain and the thought process changes as you buy deals, because you're like, I didn't want to sell. I honestly, Rye came to me, was like, we should sell this property. I'm like, dude, we've only owned it for 4.5 years. This is where it really starts to get fun. It's cash flowing $700 a month. But I'm like, wait a second. We bought it for 135. We 4X'd our money in 4 years. Get it out and go buy something else. And that's when things start to change. So, Rye, I don't mean to box you out here. Did you have something that you wanted to ask about?
Yeah, no, I was enjoying the story actually. So I appreciate you guys. Very similar to Corey and I in a lot of aspects. It's interesting. You mentioned having 2 other partners, and we've thought about doing that at some point. And we've brought in people for different lanes of the business. At one point, we were minority owners in a short-term rental hospitality business. It wasn't for us. We've just done a number of things. And what I found is it's very hard to find people that match you. And it's like, that's a weird thing to say, because you touched on a few things, the integrator, the visionary, and we always look for the people that can fill the void of, hey, this is what we're lacking in our skill sets, or maybe something we don't want to do. Are they amazing at it, right? And then you plug them into the puzzle. I'm kind of feeling the same way as you guys are, where the only thing that Corey and I have tried different partnerships, they haven't worked for certain reasons, and it's all kind of come down to alignment and like clarity and communication. And it's really interesting where, we try to get answers on some things, and it's just, we would not approach the end result the same way. And like giving communication to investors, to other people that are in deals with us, to just strategy and systems and things. And it's really interesting. We kind of like found it's always been him and I, but then when we try to bring someone else into the fold, it just hasn't worked for whatever reason. So I really like that you kind of shed light on that. And I know we're all kind of young in the game. We're Corey in our early 30s or mid 30s at this point. You guys are late 20s. But it's the same thing. Someone in their 50s would probably tell us, you got to find the visionary, the integrator, blah, 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 the whole situation. But I feel like times are changing a bit, and it's a lot easier to do deals and go into business and take down partnerships, if you will, and bigger things with people that have the same morals, values, and long-term alignment and vision. I think that's huge, because a lot of times we'll have to make a pivot because something's going on in that person's life, right? And you have to do it for the right reason. Like Corey mentioned, we offloaded this other property recently, and if he and I weren't aligned on that, we wouldn't have, like, I may have wanted to sell it and he might have been like, no way, dude. And like, we're like big friction right there. It was just kind of perfect timing where we both had life events coming, and we realized we could, the velocity of money, we could excel this and buy something else. It just made sense. So I'm kind of getting around to this. I want to ask you guys, like, the thought and ability to add partners into the weave, into the fold, into the business. Have you guys had any difficulties navigating the seas here? And can you maybe talk about, I don't want you to talk shit about each other, but I'm just saying, like, in general, filling the roles and like changing and adapting and growing over time, when, a lot of businesses, you have to add another vertical, or you have to add more roles, or you're looking to hire a VA or things like that. Like, how do you guys divide and conquer and kind of map things out given the specific roles within the business?
Yeah, so we're continually scaling it. So usually we're filling the roles and then we're hiring out for that. So now we have like us 4 owners, but we have more staff too. So we have like head of marketing, head of acquisitions, we have an executive assistant, we have asset management, and then we have third-party vendors we use for a lot of stuff too. And we try to align all those people too. So like we created it so now they get to own part of all these deals we're doing as well. So like everyone in the company is incentivized by like growing long-term wealth and all on the same page. But in terms of us, like we butt heads and flip roles all the time. So like getting an org chart straightened out for like that company level when you're all like blending roles is nuts. Cause like for the first year, Dane did 100% of everything basically. Because I was running our like brokerage investment advising company, and he was building this like simultaneously. So he was the only one who had all of the info about like, where's our banking info? Where is all this like general stuff? And then once we stopped doing that and we came in, we had to like start identifying who's going to do what, because we can all do anything, but it's like who's going to do what and why to like keep us moving forward. Because our whole goal is like scaling. So like we're trying to buy $100 million worth of real estate like this year is our goal. And then keep scaling past that. So like we have to have very dedicated people to specific things to do that at like with a system.
Hey guys, Gabe here. Have you seen the exciting new projects we have going on at Stack Asset Group? If you're interested in investing with us, click the link in the description below.
I mean, sorry, you go.
Real quick, just the other two gentlemen that are in the fold, like what roles do they fill? I know I can kind of see where you guys stand. What do they do for you?
So Mark is head of operations, and so he runs the whole construction team. And then he's doing a head of asset management too. So he's making sure all our properties are operating as they should. He's doing all the DD, like physical DD on the properties, and then he's doing all the rehabs, and then he's bringing them out of the ground. So within the construction team, he has PMs and PEs and superintendents, and they do third-party work right now as well, but we're trying to do it so like we're doing everything in-house and give them enough work where we're bringing them in-house. And then Gabe is way different age than us. Gabe's 50.
Gabe's just 50. Yeah.
I was going to say 55. He would be upset. We just gave him a Rolex actually
He
for
just
his
turned
50th birthday. Like
his birthday like 2 months ago.
But so Gabe, who you guys will meet, he's 50, and he's kind of like way more experienced than all of us in keeping our heads in line.
Gabe is our board of directors. He's our entire board of directors. Yeah. Which
That's
sounds
super helpful,
dumb,
by the way.
but yeah.
Like, you guys are lucky to have someone like that who's been in the game for a while and that can just, whether it's age isn't really a number, it's age in the game.
Yeah.
He's been a business owner probably for a long time. Can you talk about how Gabe kind of came into the fold? And if you already kind of alluded to that earlier, let me know.
Yeah. So I was buying units. I heard on Bigger Pockets you could buy like large multifamily properties. So I just followed the advice they gave me on there of writing like letters to owners. So I'd do handwritten letters before I'd go into work and then send them out to all these apartment owners within that were 10 to 30 unit complexes in these areas near me. Then I got one under contract, didn't really know what to do next. And I had to go find a loan. So I was going into banks. Maybe I was going into banks first, but I was going into banks, setting meetings because I kind of knew the lingo. Then I'd show up when I was 23 and I looked like I was 12. So most of them would kick me out. One of the lenders, he took me serious. He introduced me to Gabe, and he's like, hey, you got to talk to this guy. He owns 1,000 doors or whatever. So I go and sit down with Gabe, and I show him how I'm finding these apartment complexes, kind of what I own and whatnot. And I just ask him questions for 3 hours, and he just is generous with his time. And then off his advice, I go and I close on a 16 unit that I went and put together. And I called him back because he was a broker too, and his office had a deal listed and his number was on it. So I called him because I wanted to buy that deal too. I was like, hey man, I also bought this 16 unit. Thanks for your advice in that time. It really helped me get there. And then he's like, oh, you should come work at my brokerage. And I was like, for sure. And then he was buying deals, and I would just offer to underwrite all his deals or do whatever I could for free, essentially, so I could learn and then add value wherever I could. And then we were sitting in my first month at that brokerage. We do this monthly meeting. We're sitting in there, and there's 30 people in there. I don't know anyone. Some broker brings a deal. He's like, I got this 6 unit. You can buy it, no money down, 100% financed. Anyone want to do that? And Gabe's like, I'll buy it. Anyone want to buy it with me? And I look around and no one raises their hand. I'm like, why is no one? I was like, I'll do that. And that was the first deal we did together, and got to know each other a bit. And then we just kept doing deals from then on out. And then I was finding the deals, managing the deals. He could see that I would underwrite the deals. But he was really making a bet. I had no reason to own 50% of the deal with a guy like that, but he was just making a future bet, which now paid off for him, right? Because we're running this company that he owns a portion of, and we're building his real estate portfolio alongside him.
It's so cool, dude. I think there's so many different benefits here, but even just from Gabe's perspective, he's seeing someone that's super hungry, younger, can not be a successor, but you had this fire to do some of the things that maybe he didn't have time to do, to underwrite these deals, get another set of eyes. He knows you're a dog, right? And you have time to do this, right? I'd imagine you're not locked down with family and kids at this age right now, maybe in the future, but at this point in time in your story. So I think it's great. We always hear these words of advice or wisdom on podcasts, right? So to get into rooms where you don't belong. And once you get into those rooms, just provide value. Immediately you did that. And it's hard to give an example sometimes for people. So I'll point people back to this, where that's just amazing. You saw an opportunity. You could have said no to the brokerage, but you said, yeah, I'm going to go work for your brokerage. No problem. Then around the ring of table, nobody wants to do a deal with them. You raise your hand. You're like, I don't know. I guess I'll take a shot on this thing. I'm buying deals anyways. And then future partnership. I think it's just awesome, dude. From listening to Bigger Pockets, going from the engineering to Bigger Pockets to listening and then just taking action. It's just the stepping stones that most people need clarity. And they're like, I don't get this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to provide value. I don't know how to see an opportunity. You're just doing all the hard stuff like over and over, like the little sequential things. And it allows, that's the big picture coming together. So dude, kudos to you. It's a great part of your story. Now that gives me a lot of clarity because now he trusts you because those were tests, those little things. Like, is he willing to do the work? Is he willing to show up? Is he willing to, not really just take a shot, not knowing the end result. Right. So that's awesome. I can't wait to meet Gabe in a little bit when we do your show too, but really cool to have like a mentor as part of your business. And then he's sort of probably acting like a business coach to you guys too, because he's seen some things and a lot of people have to hire that out. It's really nice to have that, within your war room.
Yeah,
no question.
One of the things that I wanted to touch on after, we covered that is you're mentioning all these deals and I'm curious, are you guys buying them all? You mentioned Salem, like, are they all in Oregon? Are they all close by? Are they all in your backyard that you can start to like really manage this? Is it tightly? I know Oregon's a tough place, tenant landlord. So I'm curious, maybe more just Portland is. And again, I'm kind of naive to that. So I'm just like maybe generalizing. So you guys,
no, you're right. I was smiling because you're right.
Yeah, it's all we know though. So we don't know what's easier in another state. So everything we own is in Oregon. We would buy in Southern Washington also, but we're spread across Oregon. So we own stuff from Hermiston, which is like Eastern Oregon, all the way to the coast. It's like we're building apartments in Astoria, Oregon, Seaside, Oregon, and then we own stuff as far south as Corvallis right now. Yeah, I think, but we would buy stuff farther south also. So we like the state of Oregon. It's more about like the deal size, the deal economics, and then is that city and market large enough where there's multiple property management options, so you're not just like set on one. And then we have like multiple buy boxes, which you guys might enjoy, like talking through like some of these deal structures too and what we're doing.
That's what my next question was going to be. I'm curious about your buy boxes. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now it's basically 20 to 150 unit complexes what we're looking for. And then how we finance those. So we'll do ground up construction for that or value add. And we'll do that a few different ways. So we'll buy it conventionally, just like anyone else. And if we do it that way, we're syndicating it typically, or we might 1031 another project into that. Then we'll do seller finance, right? If that makes sense as well, we can syndicate that or just do us if it's depending on the leverage on it and how much money we have at the time. And then we will do a blend where we maybe cross collateralize another property, have a seller do a partial carry, partial bank loan there. And then we do this other model, which we call an LBO, so a leveraged buyout, where we leave the seller in as an equity partner with us. So this is really valuable to a seller in specific scenarios. Maybe they have a heavy value add property that they can't do the lift on. They can stay in the deal and benefit from that upside. Or a piece of land. We have a lot of traction on land with this right now because it's really hard to develop and bring these out of the ground and finance and make sure it makes sense. But we're doing this all day long. So there's a lot of landowners who will contribute that land piece to our partnership. And that's just the same in the bank size as a cash contribution. So then they get to come bring that and we get to bring less money, maybe no money, depending on the value of the land, and then build this project and then increase their equity position. So for example, we had, a 70 unit we were going to build. This person had this $1 million piece of land. We were going to go do all the work, get it entitled, and then their end stake in the apartment complex is going to be worth like $3 million. So like for them, awesome. They don't have to do any work. They're not having to sign on debt. Their risk is if we mess up the project, right? But we're signing on at that point. That's like a 20 million of debt or something like that. So we have more skin in the game than them. But we just get to increase that position. And then you can do the same on apartments too. So like if they have equity within a project, they can roll that forward with you via 721 exchange, kind of like a 1031 exchange. And then you can use that equity as all your cash, part of your cash to go and do that project.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, the longer I'm in this game, the more I learn about all these different loopholes and rules and everything. I've never even heard of a 721 exchange, but I just learned about a 1033 exchange. Have you guys know what that is?
I've never heard of it.
It's not fun. It's you don't want to know.
Tell me.
I guess.
Yeah, tell me.
In theory, maybe it's 100% useful, but basically it's a a casualty exchange. So we had a place burned down, and you get 2 years from the end of the year that the property burned down to take those proceeds from an insurance and roll it into a new deal. Ryan and I just actually had a failed 1033 because we couldn't find the right project, and it had to be the two of us, and now we're buying properties differently, and I bought one on my own, so we have to pay the capital gains on it. But 1033, and a lot of CPAs are like, oh, you mean 1031? I'm like, no, listen, it's called a 1033. Go look it up.
So
I've never even heard of a 721.
So you took the money rather than rebuilding the project in that case?
Exactly. We took the money and then we sold for 50, 60, I think it was 50 or 60 grand. We sold it to a developer who I now just interviewed on our show 3 years later, which is really cool. It's full circle moment. But yeah, I sold it because Ryan and I were just like still working full time, didn't know what to do, didn't want to deal with it. And we're paying capital gains, obviously, so we made money on it. So we took it, we put it into another project after we searched to try to find the right one, and we just couldn't. So 1033 exchange, there you go. It's it's you don't really want to have to use it, but it's a good tool.
We bought a storage complex not too long ago, like I don't know, 150 units or something. We bought it because it's covered land place, so it's storage on top of something that we can take 7 stories up in the middle of like downtown Corvallis. But we were in Greece or Turkey or something. Greece. And this was like 4 months ago. We had just bought it, and we get a call in Greece, and our storage complex burned down like 2 weeks after we got it. And we're there, and we're like, oh.
In this project, we had
Trevor, that was like 6 months after we bought it.
Oh, 6 months? I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter. That's not that long after.
2 weeks was when we bought a house, and student driver drove into the side of the house. That was 2 weeks after closing. That was hilarious. Yeah, it was on a corner, and the person just missed the corner. Drove straight in the side of the house. Yeah.
Dang, I need to see a picture of that. That's wild.
So part of this game is like,
all right, I need that.
It's not for the faint of heart, and that's, I think, maybe some of the things I want to talk about too, because a lot of people will think they want to get involved in real estate investing, and the benefits and the advantages and the wins at the end of, or like at the end of a deal are so worth it. And we've seen it so many times. They're so worth it. But most people get stuck in the middle, and they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with tenants, or I don't want to deal with that. Or, I'm curious on like how you guys compartmentalize some of the big issues that do come up with being deal junkies, right? If you're a deal junkie, you have some of the downside of being a junkie in that process, right? But then the upside, to me, we haven't found a better way to build wealth yet, at least from a tangible standpoint. And we can talk about, Ryan and I are Bitcoin investors as well. Like we do some things like that, but like from a, I can go take this property and force appreciate and make it worth X amount more, and I can use other people's money. I haven't found a better way. But I'm curious about compartmentalizing issues that happen and that have arisen. Obviously, you guys have some cool stories. So how does that factor into your deal flow?
You learn you can solve all these problems really easy, especially once you start going through them. That's why we're like, when we got that call, we were really like, that's crazy.
That's hilarious.
Like, hilarious. Because we knew we could solve it. So it's not like that big of a deal. To the average person, they think like, holy shit, what do you do next? But like, I mean, starting out, like I lost $250,000 through a partnership, and part of that was just stolen money. So like learning how to deal with that. I got sued for $300,000 from tenants because we bought a heavy value add property from a slumlord. As soon as we take it over, day one, they refuse to move out, refuse to let us see the units, and then they sue us. And it's like, they wouldn't even let us fix their unit. Like we're sending notices to fix stuff, and they won't even let us. And then they sue us for $150,000 each. So it's like learning how to deal with that. People running into our house, people like burning down the storage complex. So you start to learn about a lot of these things. And a lot of it is insurance, like covering this stuff. Like you pay for insurance, like, and you can use it. Insurance is crazy though, because they don't care at all. Like once you start dealing with the attorneys and whatnot. So when I got sued for $300,000, insurance settled for whatever, $200,000 or something. And those people, like they agreed to take payouts of $15,000 each. And I kept telling the attorneys, this is what they'll take, this is what they'll take. And the insurance attorneys, you learn, just want to rack up their hours. So they just stretch this thing on so they get paid more and more. And they don't actually care about the insurance company. They just care about their bill. So I saw them waste like $150,000 of the insurance company's funds from doing stuff like that. But like as you keep doing this, you learn like every single problem is solvable. So like our partner Gabe, for example, it's crazy story. So he signed on for 0.2% ownership of a $13 million build to have the right to buy the project in the end. The dude had never developed a project before or built anything. The project fails. Now he's liable, personally guaranteed on a failed project for $13 million worth of debt. And he has to go
dude
figure
had
out,
built projects.
Had he?
Yeah, he had built projects.
The builder had, but not the developer. The main guy had not.
Oh, okay.
But he had a builder doing it, but they failed the project. Now he has this project that's strung along, and then that's when COVID happens and none of the materials are coming in too. So he's got to go figure out, like, how do I solve this $13 million problem of a failed project that I don't have control over because I signed on for 0.2% ownership, but I'm fully liable for this debt, and he's the only one that has the balance sheet that they'll come after. Learning lesson, don't do that. But you start to learn, like, as you see all these situations, like, it's all solvable. He got out of that, solved the problem, and still made like a good chunk of money and holds that deal today and made it worth more still. So
yeah.
Wow.
I
That
think
is,
that,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that so much of it is just not being emotional about it. And like in your mind, it's like, well, easy for you to say, like, you've already experienced the thing. And it's like, no, it's just the idea that like there's always going to be more coming. And to you, it might be the first time that it's ever happened, but it's already happened to somebody else. Like, that's why it's covered by insurance, is because it's already happened to not only one other person, but a lot of other people. Like, this isn't a new thing that's happening to you, whatever it is. I think that when you first get into it, it's hard to say. It's like, okay, I'm investing now. But then for whatever reason, like, the upside is investing and the downside is emotional. And it's like, no, you have to compartmentalize all of it into the one bucket. Like, it's just investing, and anything that happens is going to be solved by insurance or solved by you writing a check, or like, and it's like, well, I had to write a check for X amount. And it's like, yeah, but you underwrote for that. It just happened sooner than you wanted it to. Like, sure, it happened.
Yeah.
That's not awesome, but like, you knew that was coming. Like, it's not like you didn't know it was coming. And so when it does come, don't be emotional about it, because you weren't emotional about it on the front end. When you underwrote for the fact that like your roof was going to cave in one day, like, you knew that was coming. And so then when the day does come, don't be like, why did my roof cave in? I bought a 1960s apartment complex where the roof hadn't been repaired in 30 years. It's like, well, yeah, that's what you bought. Like, okay, granted, somebody driving into the side of your house, like, I did not underwrite for that. However, it was covered by insurance, and the guy did the job for free. So,
yeah, I think the biggest fear people have is like they don't trust themselves to underwrite it appropriately. So if something does like happen like this, right? Like one of these like crazy circumstances you mentioned, the roof thing's not crazy, but then they're like, well, did I cover myself? Like, I vividly remember Corey and I, because it was one of our early deals. The one that burned down. We were, the tenant called at 11 o'clock at night. She's like, hey, like my place is burning down. So we drove there early the next morning. Like, on the drive down, we're like, are we capable of handling this? And we were just like thinking about, because it's so early on, we're like, we went to the point where we were thinking, like, do we have insurance on this place? Well, we knew we did, but you just go through the fear in of your head. Right? Like, am I actually going to go take this down?
Yeah.
And it turns out so many people have gone through this, and we had an amazing insurance policy. So it's one of those things. What I found is you make your money when you buy your deal, right? Like everybody says, it's the day you buy. And you have to set yourself up. You have to underwrite appropriately. You have to get the right insurance and do the annoying shit that no one wants to do, right? You have to just like follow suit. There's reasons why these things are out there, but it's also your network. Like, we had all these things in place, but we could also call 5 different people and say, hey, this is what just happened. What do I do? Have you been through this? And chances are one of them has, or their friend has, and they give you the number and you call that person. You'd be like, dude, just help me out. I need you to bail me out. So my point is, I think people, when they listen to these podcasts and they hear this stuff and they're just like, well, you guys just threw out like 150 grand, like 300, like you're throwing out these crazy numbers, right? Like, just how do you have the money to actually pay for these problems when they occur? One is the underwriting in the beginning, make sure you have the reserves, all of that, but make sure you have insurance. But then also it's relationship capital. To be able to do these things at a high clip and to scale to the levels you are scaling to and that we're scaling to, you have to have the people around you that are basically your backup team, or they can, not like your partners in crime, because that's what you guys have each other for, like the 4 core people of your team, but those other people around you that gets you to the finish line. I'm thinking like the title companies, the real estate attorneys, the insurance brokers, like all these things to buy a deal. they're very useful when shit happens and you panic and you're like, thank God I have these relationships. So for us, that's what we found has been one of like the golden gooses or the best things that we've had over time. Is like we've taken those relationships serious, and you try to really take care of the people that your team that you take deal after deal down with. I'm sure you guys have a core team that once a deal comes, it's underwritten, you immediately know who you have to pass the baton to. And I think that's very scary for people in the beginning because they don't have that team. They don't know how to build it. And that just takes time, reps, and going through the experiences. And, you get rid of the bad players, you get the aces in, and you just keep them, you take care of them.
Yeah. And for the average person too, they don't need to do what we're doing. Like you don't have to try to buy hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate to like be successful in real estate. Like my first goal of one house a year, if the average, like when we were running our investment advisory company, our whole goal was taking someone and getting them 3 deals. I was like, in Oregon, if you own 3 deals, you set up your whole retirement fund, you do it at a young enough age and just sit on it. Like you're set for life at that point. And like you can work whatever job you want because your wealth will build over time. Just do this early, get your first 3 deals, you're set. And like real estate is forgiving. You put 30-year long-term fixed rate debt, even if you don't buy the best deal on the front end and you bought it, like house hacked it and put 5% down and moved out and it bled a little bit. As long as your day job can pay for that and it's not past your principal amount, like you're going to make money on it over time still. Like it's super forgiving.
Couldn't agree more. I have a couple of things I want to chat about. But one, that 3 deal mantra that you just kind of came up with. But you also mentioned as long as your day job can still pay for this. I think a lot of people think they're going to get into real estate investing and they're going to get 2 deals and they're going to cash flow and pay all their bills. And they're going to be able to quit. And that's because that's what was taught. Think about it. During COVID, every real estate book we read or the Bigger Pockets podcast, love the podcast, by the way. I know it's changed a little bit over time, but we learned through the School of Hard Knocks and Bigger Pockets, right? That's kind of what like our generation, you guys and us, we learned. But there was always that, hey, buy a couple of units, you'll cash flow 1,000 and you'll be fine. You'll only need a couple of deals and you can leave your job. And then we, over time going through this, like, it's not true. That is like, it just, unless you're living in a very specific part of the country and the deals are still underwriting and cash flowing at 1,000 a door, it's literally impossible. And I feel bad because that's the dream that is sold. However, what we found is like you can maintain the W-2 job as long as your tenants are paying your mortgage. The real perk isn't the cash flow. It's the equity you build up in this property and the appreciation over time. And then, we talk about you having, one of your 100 units has 150 in equity into it. Great. If shit hits the fan, you sell one off and you solve a problem, which you did. So overall, I just think, the game's changed a little bit, but overall, I wanted to talk about you guys. You mentioned your company, right? Where you were helping people buy 3 deals. Like the reason I bring this up is we have a program or a mentorship that we teach people how to buy their first or next investment property in 90 days because it is possible. We are firm believers. I think a lot of people do this in the game that we're in. And we are just such firm believers. Like we have the stock market dialed, we have our crypto, but a lot of people then they're like, what do I do next? It's real estate. That's where the books lead you. That's where the podcasts lead you. But people get too scared. They don't know how to build their team out. We can basically hand it to them on a silver platter because we've done it so many times. I'm sure you guys have too. Can you talk to me about the structure of this business? I know you just closed the doors or you're like pivoting.
Yeah.
I'm really curious how you set it up. Was it run through social? Did you just have a website, market it? Talk to me through like marketing, how to get people in, and then like how it really worked.
So we were doing exactly what you guys were doing basically. So how we were making money from it was through the brokerage fees, and then we would add on all the teaching and information and coaching for free. So the pitch was really easy of, hey, we've bought hundreds of units. Here's our net worth. Here's what we're doing. We're going to show you the beginning steps of if you're any point before this, we can help you get to where we're at. And it costs you nothing. You're just going to pay a brokerage fee, which you're going to pay anyway if you're going to buy a deal. So like it's a no-brainer offer, but here's all this extra value. And then we would just let them terminate at any time if they're not happy. Had we pivoted later and kept it going, we would have started adding in fees so you can start weeding through people because as you know, as a broker at first, like you don't have enough clients. So you're just trying to fix the client problem. So you're not going on the roller coaster. So then we solved for that. So then we needed to add more friction. So then you could rerun on the ad spend and like have it scale. But we were doing that through organic social media. We were doing an in-person event every month where we'd have about 100 people come in our market and we'd run Instagram and Facebook ads for that. And then we'd run webinars and free lead magnets. So we'd build all these courses that like people have that they charge like thousands of dollars for. We'd just give it away for free to get people in the door because we would make all the money on the brokerage fees, which maybe like that wasn't the best way to do it. But we were honestly just following Alex Hormozy's books. And as those were coming out, we just did what they said and it worked really well. And then money models came out after we closed the business and we were like, oh, we could have monetized this so much better on the front end. But we built that to where we were doing about 8 deals a month in our market for clients.
That's awesome, dude. And what was the decision to close the doors?
Yeah. So I went to the Alex Hormozy conference in Vegas, and he was like, all of you guys try to run multiple businesses. You'll never be successful as a new business owner doing multiple things. And like where we make all of our wealth is through owning all of our own deals. So like it was a no-brainer at that point. And our whole thing there was, it was really fun. Like that thing was awesome to help people. Like there was a ton of people super into it. People love it. And we still help people just for free. But it was just transitioning because it's like all our wealth is built here. This is great. Like we started doing really well with it and started hitting our goal. It was funny because our goal for that first year was to build up to 8 deals closings a month because that would net us like $1 million or whatever from it. And then as soon as we did that 2 months in a row, we shut it down. And I was like, dang, I just spent like a year and a half building this thing up. We finally did it and then closed it down. But like all of our money and all of our future wealth is made from owning real estate. So we wanted to focus on that.
That's more of your active income, right? And then your long-term wealth.
So then the next question was, pivoting. How do you have active income? Because you still need now money to live off of. So then pivoting our business and creating it around active income. So then we started syndicating some deals as well. So then you can have fees through that. And then you start building up through asset management fees and then cash flows from all your properties. And now we get to start refi stuff. So like we bought a property for $3 million, put $800,000 in, appraised it at 7.6 and pulled like a $4.8 million loan. So we got to pull a pretty big chunk of tax-free money out of that. Like we just bought an apartment complex for $6.1 million. We're under contract selling it 6 months later for 7.5. Yeah. So we generate like active incomes through some of that stuff. But like that stuff, like I want to hold that apartment, but now we have this business we're operating and we have to fund it and we have to like run more ads and do more marketing and do all this stuff. So we start selling some of that stuff just to fund the operations.
So I love what you guys are doing, by the way. It's also helpful you have 2 other people in there with you. So to like go attack things. Can you talk to me just a little bit about the marketing side? I know one of you guys has a little background in marketing. Maybe that kind of plays into it. But for us, one of the most difficult things going through this was we could boots on the ground. We have the teams, like we know how to do this thing, but the social media, we found our wheelhouse, right? We can scale, but it's a really interesting thing where you're getting a lot of people that are tire kickers. You get people, you want to get the right avatar and the right person like us that wants to take down deals, right? Which is like a small corner of the earth. And so my point is, we've done the webinars, we did paid ads, we're pivoting to some more in-person stuff to do some of the similar things to what you guys are doing. We syndicate deals as well. But my point is running the ad side of things. Did you hire like a consultant, someone to run that, or did one of you say, "Hey, I got to learn. Yeah. I got to go and just"?
She's really shy, but this is Avery right here. So
hi, Avery.
Avery's our full-time marketing person on our company Stack, but she's
Snack Tasset Group.
She started,
Stack, dude.
She started with our company that we called Vesta beforehand, and that was because I was doing all the marketing, and then I tried to hire third-party people to help with this, and none of the third-party people knew what they were doing, and Avery had the skill set to like learn it. So me and her learned it together and just went through all the trials and built this out. So like on our first webinars, like we had 0 people show up. And then we had 1 person. Then 1 week we would get like 15 people on it. And then we would mess something up and then we'd have like 2 again. And we would just run this weekly and keep doing the iterations. And we'd have all these funnels that lead to the same landing page to have them book a call with our team to then move them through the funnel. And then we would just use Go High Level. And then it would be to all of our other employees. So I'd build them an investment plan on the call. Then they would move to the next step with the lender who would do part of the sales process and so on and so forth. I'm happy to show you guys too off air with more time, like what we did. I'm guessing you might be doing it better than us because like we were able to monetize not that big of a following in our local market because it was so hyper focused. But like we only had, but you guys have like 100,000 followers or whatever on our business page. There we had maybe like 1,000 or 2, but there are people who really loved it, and you didn't need to do 8 deals a month. That many people.
No, I want to shout that out from the rooftops. Like you can have a small-ish following. Not saying you guys have a small following at all, but like for people that are scared to get into this game, it just takes almost just more active people that are involved and like really bought into you that you can start taking down deals and do this thing. You don't need to have this massive $100,000 or 100,000 person following to make a big imprint and change people's lives. And a lot of it's local. So it's funny, I'm shout out from the rooftops now. It's like we're into January 2026. We've built this following and it's people all over, right? Mm-hmm. It's from the East Coast to the West Coast. Now we're like, we have a business coach. He's like, so how's your local presence doing? We're like, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty good. He's like, nope, we're changing everything. You guys need to dial in strictly local and build from there. You already did some of the hard stuff, but if you figured out how to do it virtually through Zoom and all that with COVID, he's like, if you can build a presence locally and just take down a couple more deals a month, like things will it'll flip the whole business on its head. And so we could definitely take a page out of your guys' book. And I definitely want to offline a bunch of stuff, after our calls, because it's so synergistic what you guys are doing. I'm just like, it's really cool to see. We're literally on the other coast from you guys. We're doing such similar things.
We said verbatim the same thing as you.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Buy your first or next deal. Like that was it was that exact line. And everybody, okay. Because we're like, well, what if somebody only has one deal? Like then they have to be able to buy their next. Okay, what if they have two?
Because are you guys doing coaching or brokerage to make like with these clients or a combo? Coaching?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of comboing now. Corey's got his license. I'm working on mine. So it's like, we're just like, once again, trying to figure out the sweet spot. And there's a lot of moving pieces. And then we're still taking down our 5 to 50 units up in New Hampshire. So it's like when we take down a deal like that, it's great. We have a list of people that have done deals with us before. We have, obviously now all of our group of investors, like a small private group, which is awesome. And it's an opportunity for them. And most groups don't allow you to invest with the people that are like kind of teaching you the game. So it's really cool. There's a lot of different things, and we're trying to find out, hey, how do we continue to build our long-term wealth, but also still have the active income to do this full time and manage the skill sets and all that and hire great people. So
because our original plan was if we could help all these people, they're building their wealth as we're doing bigger deals, and they can 1031 into our deals and put their future money into our deals. And it's a very long-term thinking on it. But that was kind of what we were thinking on the front end, because now we're starting to help like at scale a lot of people. The cool part about adding, we didn't have any coaching paid for. We would have done more like you guys, but I would add in the brokerage, because now your coaching is applied and you get to capitalize there. It doesn't really cost them anything. And these people are investors. So they're doing, like everyone was doing a deal or two every single year. So that starts after your first year in. Starts to scale really hard. And these people are fanatics at that point. So they're telling their friends, because you're helping them build their net worth. They wouldn't have otherwise done it.
You get referrals like crazy. And then everybody that's the thing about the local market, like you're talking about, where like we needed 100 good people, really, like to get traction. And it's like, okay, if you're selling t-shirts, like you need 1 million. But if you're selling something that's that high ticket, but you have to create so much value on the front end, then we only needed like 100 good clients that were going to do repeat business and bring us other clients. And so like that was much more our focus, was just giving as much value as you possibly could on the front end. And so like we were running the meetup, he was running these webinars that were extremely valuable. Like it was like, here's all the ways that you can buy a deal. And only like one of them was with us. It was like, there's 5 different ways. Like you just go do it. You're not gonna. And so you should still do it with us. But like, here's how you do it without us. Like, I don't care. I think that you're going to do it with me though, because I'm providing so much value on the front end.
100%. I was wondering not how much value, but like what you guys put into it and what you guys taught, because we've gone through this process. It's hilarious where you teach people the whole game. You feel like they're ready. They're sending you deals, or they're underwriting them. And then they're like, I'd just rather do it with you.
Yeah.
They're just like, they don't have the time or energy for it. And then people that want to, they come in for 2 ways. Some people, they want to learn the game. They want to feel super confident about it. Other people will come in and then they don't do anything, and they just don't even show up to the calls. And you're like, I don't understand. They just want it handed on a silver platter is my point. Some people are super busy. So you get a mixed bag of people.
We thought of doing a done for you model on it too. So we were thinking about all these things. So I would love to talk to you guys, because I love doing it and I thought so much about it, and I was bummed when we stopped. So I would love to talk to you guys about what you're doing.
He's the one who said we had to. He's the one who said I was like, we should maybe keep doing it. Like, and then you convinced, you were right, but yeah. No, it would be fun to talk about. We should rip on to the next episode. We'll flip around and we'll interview you guys next. How about that? Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, that's good. I was keeping an eye on the time here, but I guess I could talk to you guys all day, which is a good thing. That makes for a good podcast. But if people are listening to the show and they're like, we have people that are listening that are from Oregon, right? So like, if they want to learn more about you, they want to potentially partner, network, whatever that might be, what does that look like? Like, where do people find you?
Yeah, so you can find us. So we have a podcast too called Deal Junkies, a real estate podcast that has 3 of our partners on it. And then just stackassetgroup.com. Like you can see about us, you can see all our info, you can contact us on there.
Love it. We appreciate you guys joining us today. This was a blast, and I'm excited to continue the convo.
Awesome.
Yeah, guys.
Thanks, guys. It was fun.